My rage boiled over the moment I heard her voice on the recording. My wife, the woman who had spent a year subtly chipping away at my soul, belittling me while crafting her new, perfect image. That 10-second snippet, raw and undeniable, ripped open the carefully constructed facade of our life. "Hey, babe," she purred, followed by a man's guttural demand. "Go to his house. I want to fuck." And her simple, chilling reply, "Yes." I confronted her, a foolish, explosive mistake fueled by fury and the impossible timeline of her actions that day, infidelity squeezed between a vet run and walking the dogs. She denied it, her denial a venomous lie, twisting the knife deeper, and in a final, humiliating act of control, called the police on me. Left shattered and publicly shamed, I knew I had lost the battle, but I swore right then, as the pieces of my life lay scattered around me, that the war had just begun. And Veronica, my seemingly untouchable wife, had no idea the price she was about to pay for making a fool of the man she thought she had broken. For months, years even, the feeling had been a low hum beneath the surface of our marriage, a persistent, annoying vibration I couldn't quite locate the source of. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Veronica turned 40 and something shifted. Not dramatically at first, just a new energy, a renewed focus on herself. She joined a gym, started eating differently, shedding the soft edges that had settled over the years. I encouraged it, genuinely happy she was feeling good about herself. Who wouldn't be? But then, the subtle changes became less about self-improvement and more about separation. The late nights at the gym stretched longer. The new clothes were flashier, less us, and more her new self. Her phone became a welded extension of her hand, notifications silenced, screen angled away. Secretive smiles flickered across her face as she texted, quickly swiping away if I entered the room. Conversations became shorter, her attention fragmented. She'd dismiss my concerns, my attempts to connect, with an airy wave or a thinly veiled jab about me being stuck in my ways or needing to keep up. The belittling was the hardest part to articulate, even to myself. It wasn't overt cruelty, not usually. It was 1,000 tiny cuts. A sigh when I told a story as if I were boring her. A raised eyebrow when I expressed an opinion she didn't share. Compliments about her new physique delivered with an almost imperceptible pause before adding, "You should try it, Ethan. You'd feel so much better." The implication hung heavy in the air. You're not good enough as you are. She was building herself up, seemingly, but it felt like she was doing it on the foundation of tearing me down. My gut screamed that something was wrong, that this wasn't just a midlife fitness kick. Then came the hard evidence, or what I thought was hard evidence at the time. The secret texts multiplied. One morning, I saw a message pop up on her lock, screen from a contact simply saved as J. It read, "Can't wait. Same place?" She snatched the phone so fast I barely processed it, her face a mask of annoyance that quickly shifted to forced casualness. "Just work stuff," she'd mumbled. My suspicion crystallized into dread. I started noticing patterns, errands that took longer than they should have, unexplained mileage on her car. The car, her sanctuary. It was risky, I knew, but the gut feeling had become unbearable. I bought a small, discreet voice-activated recorder, VAR, and tucked it under her passenger seat. I hated myself for doing it, for invading her privacy, but the alternative, living in this agonizing uncertainty, being subtly poisoned by suspicion and her dismissals, felt worse. The day the recording was made, May the 1st, I was out of the house for most of the day for a long-scheduled client meeting across town. She had taken our 2 dogs, Buster and Daisy, for their annual vet checkup, a routine, mundane task. I checked the VAR that evening, a knot of dread tightening in my stomach. Most of the recording was road noise, dog sounds, and the vet talking. But then, a small section, less than 10 seconds long, ripped my world apart. Her voice, soft and intimate, a tone she hadn't used with me in ages. "Hey, babe, what are you up to?" A man's voice, deeper, rougher. "Go to his house. I want to fuck." Followed by something else, muffled, indistinguishable. But the intent was clear. animalistic. Her reply, sickeningly calm, sickeningly certain. Yes. Then silence, the call ending abruptly. The timestamp was clear. Mid-afternoon, right when she should have been heading to or from the vet. My mind raced back to the location data I'd sometimes glanced at on our shared family app, a habit I'd started discreetly months ago, fueled by paranoia. That day, her car's location history showed a detour, a brief stop at a residential address, about 10 minutes off the most direct route to the vet. A stop that lasted only a few minutes before she continued on to the appointment. A few minutes. Meet. Fuck. Leave. With the dogs in the car. The sheer audacity, the cold, transactional nature of it sent a jolt of pure, white-hot fury through me. It wasn't just betrayal, it was a desecration of everything, even the mundane task of taking our beloved dogs to the doctor. It felt calculated, squeezed into the smallest possible window of opportunity. When she got home, humming happily, smelling faintly of dog shampoo and something else I couldn't place, I lost it. All the months of subtle put-downs, the secret texts, the gut-wrenching suspicion, the agony of the recording, it exploded. I didn't plan it, didn't think it through. The VAR was still in my hand. Where were you today? Really? I demanded, my voice shaking, much louder than I intended. She stopped, her bright expression faltering. What are you talking about? I took Buster and Daisy to the vet. You know that. No, I spat, thrusting the VAR towards her. I mean, where else were you? At some man's house? Her eyes widened for a split second, a flicker of something I couldn't read. Fear, surprise, before her face slammed shut. The transformation was instantaneous and chilling. The warm, casual wife vanished, replaced by a cold, hard stranger. What is this, Ethan? Snooping on me? Her voice was ice. Don't play dumb, Veronica. I know you stopped somewhere, and I heard the recording. I fumbled with the VAR, trying to play the snippet, my hands trembling. She didn't flinch as the distorted voices played. She listened, her face unreadable, then let out a short, sharp laugh. It wasn't amusement. It was contempt. Are you serious? She said, her voice dripping with disdain. You're basing some insane accusation on that? That's barely audible nonsense. Nonsense. I heard it. Go to his house, I want to fuck, and you said yes. My voice cracked. Then came the line that truly broke me, not just with pain, but with sheer baffling disbelief. That's you, Ethan, she said, calm and utterly convincing. That's just background noise. Or maybe it's you on the phone earlier, talking about something. Honestly, your paranoia is getting out of control. My jaw dropped. That's me? Don't insult my intelligence, Veronica. That's clearly not my voice, and you know it. The more I pushed, the colder she became. She denied everything, twisting my words, accusing me of being unstable, of fabricating things because I was threatened by her new lifestyle, by her confidence. It was a masterful performance of gaslighting. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't get defensive in the way someone caught might. She just became impermeable, turning my anger and my evidence into proof of my own mental state. I can't do this. Ethan, she said, pulling out her phone. You're scaring me. You're clearly not well. Before I could react, she was on the phone. Yes, I need the police. My husband is acting erratically, making false accusations. He seems unstable. I feel unsafe. My blood ran cold. The humiliation washed over me. She was turning it on me, using my justified anger, my fumbled evidence, to paint me as the aggressor, the crazy one. The police arrived, and I, still reeling, could barely articulate what had happened. She was calm, collected, telling them I'd been verbally abusive, making wild accusations, acting threateningly. I showed them the VAR, stammering about the recording and the location data. They listened patiently, looked at the tiny device, and shrugged. There was no physical threat, no damage. It was a domestic dispute, he said, she said. They advised me to calm down, suggested I might need to step away for the night, and left. Left me standing in my living room, the air thick with the stench of betrayal and the bitter taste of public humiliation, while Veronica watched me from the doorway, her face a mask of cool triumph. I didn't leave. I couldn't. I just sat there, shattered. The absurdity of it all hit me in waves. How could she have done that? Met a man, had sex with the dogs in the car, squeezed it into a few minutes, and then gone to the vet like nothing happened. It felt physically impossible, a violation of space, time, and decency. And then to deny it so completely, so coolly, and turn the police on me. It was a level of cold calculation I hadn't believed her capable of. My mind was a jumble of confusion and pain. Was it possible I was wrong? Could that recording somehow be distorted? Could the location data be a glitch? Could she truly believe it was me? Or believe she could convince me it was me? The questions spun endlessly, but deep down, the gut feeling, the snippets of evidence, and most damningly, her reaction and the police call, screamed the truth. She was lying. She had betrayed me, and she had just used every tool at her disposal, including the law, to silence me and make me look like a fool. I sat there through the night, the humiliation burning brighter than the anger now. Divorce seemed the only path, a desperate escape from this twisted reality. I could file first thing in the morning, cut ties, lick my wounds, but as the first gray light of dawn crept through the windows, a different thought began to form. She had belittled me, gaslit me, humiliated me. She had used my emotional reaction against me, turned my pain into a weapon she wielded with chilling precision. Filing for divorce now felt like admitting defeat, allowing her to walk away, perhaps even portray me as the unstable one who ended the marriage over nothing. No, that wasn't justice. That wasn't karma. That was letting her win. The initial confrontation was stupid, yes. It was impulsive, fueled by raw emotion, and it failed spectacularly. But it had also shown me the depth of her deceit and her willingness to use ruthless tactics. It had inadvertently stripped away the last vestiges of my naive hope. There was no talking to her, no reasoning. She had drawn the battle lines and used the legal system to her advantage in the first skirmish. Okay, I thought, my mind clearing with a cold, hard resolve. You want to play games, Veronica? You want to use tactics? Fine. But you just showed your hand, and you underestimated me. You thought making me look crazy would end this. It didn't. It just changed the game. I wouldn't file for divorce. Not yet. I would lick my wounds in private. I would let her think she had won this round. I would project confusion, maybe even a grudging acceptance of her version of events, just enough to make her comfortable, complacent. And while she relaxed in her perceived victory, I would build a case against her so solid, so undeniable, that, when I finally struck, it wouldn't be with emotional accusations but with cold, hard facts she couldn't spin away. My humiliation became my armor, my hurt a silent engine. The man she had belittled, the one she thought she could dismiss and control, was going to become someone she wouldn't recognize. The revenge wouldn't be loud or impulsive. It would be quiet, meticulous, and utterly devastating. The next morning was a performance. I was quiet, withdrawn, acting shell-shocked from the previous night. She was wary at first, watching me closely. I avoided eye contact, spoke in monosyllables, cultivated an air of confusion and hurt resignation. I don't know what happened. Last night, Veronica, I mumbled at one point, letting the doubt hang in the air. Maybe I was just stressed, tired, seeing things. Her posture relaxed almost imperceptibly. A flicker of smug satisfaction crossed her face before she masked it with a sigh. See, Ethan? I told you. We just need to be more careful, okay? You scared me. Yeah, I agreed, my voice flat. Yeah. Okay. The lie tasted like ash, but it bought me time. Time to think, time to plan. The house felt toxic, but leaving would give her too much space, too much control. I needed to be present, a silent observer, gathering intelligence. My first step was subtle digital forensics. I knew just enough about computers to be dangerous, but I was careful. While she was out, I cloned her phone's data to an encrypted drive. It was a risk, legally gray at best, but I was past caring about lines she had gleefully crossed. I spent hours sifting through deleted messages, cloud backups, app data. It was tedious, painstaking work, but it yielded results. Not just messages, with Julian, but a pattern of deceit that went back further than I'd suspected. Plans to meet, alibis crafted, even discussions about finances, our finances, in a way that suggested she saw them as hers to leverage. Julian's full name appeared, along with hints of his profession, something in finance, high-flying, married. The VAR recording became a puzzle to solve, rather than just raw evidence. I sent it to an audio forensic specialist I found online, someone who dealt with potentially doctored recordings or enhancing difficult audio. I didn't tell him what it was from, just that I needed voices isolated and background noise reduced. The results confirmed my initial certainty. The male voice was distinctly not mine, and her voice was clear. The muffled words after "I want to fuck" were still hard to discern, but the specialist isolated a few possibilities. One stood out, recurring in several interpretations: "at my place." If that was true, the few minutes she spent there made a sickening kind of sense in the context of the quick call. The timeline still bothered me. A few minutes at a house, then the vet, then home? It felt too tight for everything implied. Then, I found something else in the phone data. A string of messages with a dog walking service. Not our usual one. A quick check revealed they offered emergency or on-demand services. The dates matched some of her suspicious absences. Had she been dropping the dogs off elsewhere before meeting him, then picking them up just before returning home, or going to a final errand like the vet? It was a chilling possibility, using our pets as cover or a logistical convenience for her affair. The financial records were another painful excavation. She handled most of the household finances, and I'd trusted her implicitly. Now, I saw small, recurring withdrawals, purchases from websites I didn't recognize, amounts that added up over time. Not massive, but enough to be noticeable, enough to make me wonder if this wasn't just about sex, but about funding a lifestyle or a plan I wasn't privy to. My biggest investment, however, was hiring a private investigator. I chose a small, discreet agency, explaining the situation in broad strokes. Suspected infidelity, need for irrefutable evidence, concerns about financial entanglement. The PI, a no-nonsense woman named Brenda, understood immediately. She didn't judge. She just asked for details, names, schedules, addresses I'd found, vehicle information. Brenda's work was invaluable. She confirmed the affair with Julian, providing photographic evidence of them meeting at discrete locations, entering and leaving Julian's apartment building, confirming the "at my place" possibility from the enhanced audio, and even attending events together under the guise of professional networking. She also dug into Julian, married, significant position at a competitor firm in a different sector, known for being aggressive and image-conscious. But the most damning information Brenda uncovered wasn't just about the affair. It was about a shared business venture. Julian was involved in launching a new investment fund, and Veronica, using her professional connections, she worked in a related field, was not only investing a significant amount of our money without my knowledge, but was also actively involved in recruitment for the fund, leveraging her social network and professional contacts. This wasn't just a fling. It was a financial partnership, a plan for their future that she was building using our shared resources, while simultaneously belittling me and planning to leave me. The belittling wasn't just personal, it was strategic, designed to keep me down, keep me from questioning her activities. The scale of her betrayal, the cold, calculated way she was dismantling our life and building a new one with another man using our resources, hardened my heart into something resembling stone. The hurt was still there, a dull ache, but the confusion was gone, replaced by a chilling clarity and a fierce determination for retribution. I continued my performance at home, playing the part of the slightly bewildered husband, occasionally mentioning my stress or tiredness to reinforce her narrative. She seemed to relax completely, growing bolder, less careful with her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, her texts and calls with Julian becoming more frequent and less guarded. She had no idea I was watching, listening, gathering every crumb of evidence. I worked closely with Brenda and a divorce attorney I hired based on Brenda's recommendation, someone known for being aggressive and meticulous. We built an ironclad case, irrefutable photographic and digital evidence of the affair, documented proof of her unauthorized use of marital funds for her personal investment, and the joint venture with Julian, her pattern of deceit, even records. showing the dog walking service used on specific dates of her liaisons. The legal strategy wasn't just about divorce. It was about leverage and consequences. We planned to file a standard divorce petition initially, but back it up with a detailed discovery process that would expose the full extent of her financial misconduct and the nature of her relationship with Julian, potentially impacting his professional and personal life as well. The goal wasn't just a fair financial split. It was to hit her where it would hurt the most: her carefully crafted new image, her financial independence built on deceit, and potentially Julian's standing, making him regret his part in destroying my life. The moment arrived a few months later. It was a Tuesday morning. I had arranged for Veronica to be out of the house for a few hours under a plausible pretext. While she was gone, my attorney's office filed the divorce petition. Simultaneously, Brenda served Julian at his office with a subpoena related to the financial aspects of the case, specifically mentioning the investment fund and his association with Veronica. Julian's wife was also discreetly informed by a third party, arranged by Brenda, about the subpoena and its potential implications, ensuring maximum disruption and exposure within his world. When Veronica returned, I was waiting in the living room. I wasn't angry. I was calm, almost detached. On the coffee table lay a file, not just the divorce papers, but binders thick with evidence. Photographs, printouts of texts and emails, financial statements highlighted, Brenda's detailed reports, the audio forensic analysis. She walked in, a smile on her face, and stopped dead when she saw me and the files. The smile vanished, replaced by wariness. "What is this, Ethan?" she asked, her voice tight. "It's over, Veronica," I said, my voice low and steady. "I filed for divorce." Her eyes darted to the file. "Divorce? What are you talking about? We talked about this. You were confused. We were working through it." "That was the performance," I said, a small, grim smile touching my lips. "You were so good at performing, Veronica. I decided to try it myself." I gestured to the binders. "That's everything? The affair with Julian? The VAR recording? Not me? The financial records? The money you siphoned off? The investment fund you're building with him? Using our money? Using our dogs as a cover story?" Her face went pale. She started to stammer. I don't know what you're talking about. This is crazy." "Is it?" I picked up a photo from the top binder. "Here's you and Julian leaving his apartment last week. Here's a text from your phone detailing your investment strategy with him. Here are the transfers from our joint account." I watched the carefully constructed mask of the past year crumble. The confidence drained away, replaced by a raw, desperate fear. She knew. She knew I had seen everything. And she knew instinctively that I hadn't just filed for divorce. I had prepared for war. You snooped on me?" she whispered, the accusation hollow. "You lied to me, cheated on me, stole from me, and tried to frame me as unstable to get away with it," I countered, my voice gaining strength. "Snooping seems pretty mild in comparison, wouldn't you say?" I explained the legal strategy calmly, detailing how the evidence would be used in court, how Julian was being brought into it, how her financial activities would be scrutinized. I explained that I wasn't just seeking a divorce. I was seeking justice, and I intended to ensure her actions had significant consequences. The cool, collected woman who had called the police on me months ago was gone. She looked small, exposed, her new image shattering around her. She started to cry, not tears of remorse, but tears of pure self-pitying panic. You can't do this, Ethan. You're ruining me, ruining Julian, ruining you." I scoffed. "You ruined us. You ruined me. You thought you could walk all over me, that I was too weak or too stupid to figure it out. You used my trust, my love, our shared life, to build something with another man." The karma, the revenge, wasn't in that moment of confrontation. It was in the months of quiet planning, the meticulous gathering of evidence, the cold, hard strategy. It was in knowing that her carefully constructed world was about to implode, not because of a single, impulsive outburst, but because of the weight of her own deceit, systematically exposed. The divorce proceedings were brutal, but because of the evidence, they tilted heavily in my favor. Her attempts to portray me as unstable fell flat against the mountain of documented facts. The financial revelations were particularly damaging for her. Julian's involvement added another layer of complication and public embarrassment, both for him and for Veronica within their professional circles. The investment fund she was so proud of faltered as his reputation took a hit, and the source of some of the seed money, ours, became a point of contention. Veronica was forced to settle on terms that were far from what she had envisioned. She lost significant assets. Her financial independence was severely curtailed, and her reputation among those who knew the full story was in tatters. Julian faced his own consequences: professional scrutiny, marital problems, and the taint of being involved in a messy public divorce fueled by financial impropriety. Sitting here now, months after the divorce was finalized, there's no triumph, no grand feeling of victory, just quiet. The hollowness remains, the scar of betrayal runs deep, but the confusion is gone. The feeling of being belittled has faded, replaced by a hard-earned sense of self-respect. I wasn't weak, I was trusting. And when that trust was shattered, I found a strength I didn't know I possessed. I look at Buster and Daisy, curled up on the rug, oblivious to the storm we weathered. They were innocent pawns in her game, and their presence is a reminder of the life we had, the life she casually discarded. Karma isn't always a lightning bolt. Sometimes it's a slow, deliberate process, the inevitable consequence of actions catching up with you. Veronica got her karma, delivered not by fate, but by the man she thought she had broken. She built her new life on a foundation of lies and deceit, and I simply removed the foundation. She wasn't untouchable. She was just a woman who made a series of terrible choices, and finally, she had to face the cost. I'm not the same man who sat shattered in the living room that night. The pain changed me, but so did the process of fighting back, of reclaiming my dignity and my life. The revenge wasn't about making her suffer emotionally. She seemed incapable of true empathy anyway. It was about ensuring there were tangible, unavoidable consequences for her actions. Consequences that would prevent her from simply moving on and doing the same thing to someone else. It was about justice, delivered cold and hard. The future is uncertain, solitary. Rebuilding feels daunting, but I'm doing it on solid ground now, not on the shifting sands of denial and deceit. I learned that being gentle and trusting isn't a weakness, but that vigilance and self-preservation are necessary in a world where people you love can turn into strangers. The cost was high, but I finally caught her, and while the first attempt was foolishly impulsive, the second, quiet, calculated approach ensured that her actions finally carried the weight they deserved. She thought she'd made a fool of me. In the end, her own choices did that far more effectively than any confrontation ever could.